Hey everyone, Mr. Messiah here. Welcome back to another Gran Turismo 7 video where I'm attempting to lap the Nurburgring with every single car. And for today's video, we'll be taking a look at the DeLorean DMC-12. So this is the first and only car made by DeLorean Motor Cars, hence DMC, no, not Devil May Cry. And it had a pretty short time span where it was made, so it was only made between 1981 and 1983, and about 9,000 of these cars were made. So this car right away is pretty recognizable as its body panels are stainless steel, it has gullwing doors, and this bad boy is a rear engine rear-wheel drive. And this is where things start to get a little awkward and kind of starts to point towards why the DeLorean ended up having a bit of a short lifespan. So when it first came out, it had a 2.8 liter naturally aspirated PRV V6 engine that only produced 130 horsepower, so yeah, not exactly sporty. It also didn't help that people were saying that its build quality was poor when it first came out, and it was pretty expensive. So at the time, it was supposed to cost $12,000, hence DMC-12, but it ended up costing $24,000, so double the price. And this unfortunately set the precedent for DMC to end up going towards bankruptcy. And the founder of the company, John DeLorean, did try to save the company by smuggling drugs, and that did not go well because he ended up getting caught. Yeah, a bit of an awkward moment there. So that ended up sealing the fate for the DeLorean motor cars, and yeah, they ended up getting bankrupt. Although some time later, a different DeLorean motor cars, not relating to the original one, ended up buying the inventory for the DeLorean cars, so they ended up being a parts and services company. And if you were to take your DeLorean to upgrade its engine, it now has 197 horsepower, which gave it the Series 2 name, which explains the car that we have here. And of course, I cannot go on without mentioning this. What makes this car especially well known is its appearance in the Back to the Future series, where the DeLorean is used as a time traveling machine. And with that said, let's go ahead and take a quick look at this car's setup. Unfortunately, the DeLorean does not have a flux capacitor, but it does have covered soft tires, a pretty soft suspension setup with a high ride height, 197 horsepower with 211 feet-pound of torque, weighing at around 2,840 pounds, and it has 5 gears. And with that said, let's go ahead and see how fast the DeLorean can lap the Nurburgring. The DeLorean DMC-12. I'm gonna be honest, this is probably one of the first wacky cars that I've driven where its braking is not that great. Its acceleration is also not that great. Its top speed, you guessed it, also not that great, but its handling, especially its rotation, is not that bad. So I'm gonna say that this has to do with the DeLorean being a rear engine rear-wheel drive, where the back likes to step out a bit, but it's not like dramatic to where the car is trying to kill you at every single turn. No, it just steps out just a little bit to help with the car's rotation around these corners, and you can just control your throttle input a bit or even be a little aggressive getting on the throttle, and for the most part you're gonna be okay. Where with the other rear engine rear-wheel drive cars, they tend to try to kill you the moment you get on the throttle, but with this one's pretty tolerable. It's not too bad. You can even sometimes get pretty aggressive back on the throttle and you'll be okay. For example, here for the fluke plaza, the car steps out just a little bit, but I just got to be a little careful with my throttle input, then go back to full throttle power, and the car doesn't try to throw me into the wall. And with it rotating pretty nicely, if you have to go through twistier bits of the track, then that's where this car is really going to shine. Now you do have to brake early because the brakes on this car are not the greatest. And you'll see me here, I do brake pretty early, and luckily I'm able to get real close and personal to the apex for the Armberg turn. Yeah, a lot of the times I ended up overshooting my braking point because I kept thinking that I could brake this late with the DeLorean, and unfortunately that was not the case, and I ended up going into the gravel a lot of times. And you might have seen this by now where I am shifting pretty early with the DeLorean, and that's because its peak power is 6,000 RPM, so it's when the shift bar on the bottom of the screen is around 25% full. And you can see me. You can see here where I'm trying to get aggressive, getting back on the throttle. Let the car rotate quickly, then slam back on the throttle, and I'll be okay. But as I was saying, yeah, if you try to rev out the car, so go past the 25% point on the bottom of the screen, you're just gonna lose power. Your acceleration is gonna slow down, and that is going to cost you time. So yeah, you do have to shift pretty early with this car when the shift bar is around 25% full, so 6,000 RPM. Now here comes what's possibly one of the scariest moments I've had so far in this series, where I'm getting ready for the miss hit miss curves where I miss the apex about 50% of the time, and I get ready to brake, which is right around here. Unfortunately, go just a little wide, clip the grass, and go into a crazy slide, but somehow just doing a little bit of throttle control, and the DeLorean was able to save my butt, which is absolutely crazy because I think with most of the other cars that I've tested so far, I think I would have ended up in the wall, but the DeLorean was able to save my behind. So it might not be the fastest, but it gets a kudos point for me for helping me save it right there. And you can see that the car rotates pretty nicely around these turns. So the rear of the car does step out just a little bit, but it's nothing too crazy. The car doesn't try to send you into the wall every single time, and you just need to use a little bit of throttle control, and the car is going to treat you well. So going over to the left, getting ready for the Kessel Chain, which is going to be a bit of a struggle with the DeLorean, as we are going to be going uphill for quite a while. So going into third gear, I will have to shift up into fourth gear not too long from now, but the uphills are really going to slow down my acceleration, and that's going to cost me a bit of time. Shift up into fourth gear, I did have to rev it out just a little bit because we are still going uphill, and I'm not even going to touch fifth gear here, so I just have to stay in fourth gear, try to minimize my steering input to help this car accelerate a little bit more. Now here comes another scary turn, which is the bravery corner, so I do have to be a bit careful here to make sure that I don't throw myself into the wall. Brake before the curb on the right ends and turn in, and I do hit the curb, but luckily the DeLorean was able to shrug it off like nothing happened. Still able to carry quite a bit of speed through the bravery corner, and go ahead and get ready for my approach into the carousel. So down to second gear, I do overshoot the braking zone by a bit, but I try to bring it back in for a really late apex. Go up into third gear, look for the happy little tree that is on the left, and use that as my next braking point. Down into second gear, nice and careful getting back on the throttle, and the car is going to rotate pretty nicely with the assistance of the banking at the carousel. Up into third gear, and this is going to be another part where the DeLorean is really going to shine, as this car loves to rotate around the corners, and this part's all twists and turns. So use a little bit of braking, just a dab of brakes right there. Stay on third gear. And am I going to go down into second gear for this right turn? The answer is going to be no, but the car rotates really nicely, able to get back on the throttle, and the car remains undramatic and kind of just shrugs it off like nothing ever happened. Nice and easy on the brakes, and the car is going to rotate really nicely through these series of turns. And again, this is the part where the DeLorean really gets its time to shine and potentially shave off quite a bit of time. I do brake just a little bit too late, so I do go a little bit wide. Nice and early on the brakes this time, getting aggressive on the throttle as I'm trying to get a fast exit. Again, more rotation, which is very welcome, and this car is pretty undramatic. It doesn't try to throw me into the wall every single time that the rear of the car steps out even just a little bit. And I do brake nice and early, but I do get a little too aggressive on the throttle, just barely keep it on the track. And if I did get the off-track penalty, I would have had to restart the entire run. Up into fourth gear, got a brake just before the jump. Actually, I brake right at the jump. Go down into third gear, and here I am going to try to go flat out through here, as well, this car's not that fast, but it does allow me to go flat out through this little jump, which is terrifying in a lot of cars. For the DeLorean, it's just another Sunday. So up into fourth gear, even getting a little aggressive with the curves, and the DeLorean just shrugs it off. And I will need to brake nice and early for this right-hander. I do got to bring myself towards the right side of the track. A little bit more braking down into third gear, and here I am going to just stay on third gear, especially for the mini carousel coming up. Nice and early on the brakes. stay on third gear, get aggressive on the throttle as soon as I exit the mini carousel. And am I going to go into fourth gear? Yeah, the answer is going to be no. Going to stay on third gear for now. I do need to be a little careful right here. Nice and easy off of the throttle. No need to brake. Up into fourth gear. That way I don't have to shift down the back straight and lose a bit of time. Get the upshift done pretty much right away. In the middle of the corner. And here we go. Going 120 miles an hour, 124. And go ahead and shift up into fifth gear. Am I going to hit 130 miles an hour? The answer is going to be yes. Am I going to hit 135 miles an hour? The answer is going to be no, not yet, as I do have to go uphill. And the car is going to lose a bit of speed as I go up the hill. But it does give me a bit of time to take a breather and get ready for the final section of the track. Now starting to go downhill, going 131 miles an hour. Am I going to hit 135 miles an hour? The answer is going to be yes. 136 miles an hour is going to be the fastest I'll go. And I do brake right with the curb on the right and down into second gear. Just let the car rotate around this turn. Get aggressive on the throttle. Brake before the tarmac on the left. Get pretty aggressive on the throttle. The car even steps out just a little bit more than what I anticipated. And with that, I was able to get an 818.804. And this puts the DeLorean in third place, 3 seconds behind the Volkswagen Golf, and 7 seconds ahead of the Pontiac GTO, the Judge. And I want to give a quick shout out to Smokescreen, as he suggested the DeLorean DMC-12. And if you would like to suggest a car for me to try, feel free to do so in the comments down below. I do ask for the cars to be a road car, as I want to give these cars a bit of time to shine before the racing cars start to come in. But that's going to be it for me. If you like this video, please do hit the like and the subscribe button. And that is it for me. So take care, everyone. This is Mr. Messier, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so I was doing some research on the DeLorean and I came across some funny things. So if you go to the O'Reilly Auto Parts website and if you type in flux capacitor under the search bar, you'll find out that there is an actual item listing on this website. However, unfortunately, it's not available for purchase, and there's a couple tidbits about this item. And it does tell you to time travel at your own risk. You also need plutonium, and you also need a DeLorean DMC-12. However, I ended up finding out that if you go to the Redline website, they do have a flux capacitor for sale. You still need plutonium though, but it'll cost you $314,000. And there's some pretty funny reviews about the flux capacitor that apparently some people bought. They also are selling a DeLorean time machine for $12 million. So if you have $12 million, well, you can definitely buy a DeLorean time machine.